Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to talk about beauty photography and share with you my experience into creating beauty images, from planning the shoot, choice of lens and retouching. By the end of this video I also shared 3 practical tips that are making my life as a beauty photographer so much easier. So if you've seen those photos with models with flawless skin and you want to learn how to take them, or you want to experiment with photographing creative makeup, then this video is for you. Beauty photography is a fairly new area in photography, which blew up over the recent years thanks to growth of the makeup and the skincare industry and of course popularity of Instagram. It is typically a close-up portrait, usually from chest up to as close as macro details of an eye or lips. It is mostly female models and its focus is to showcase makeup or skincare. There is a few things you need to consider when producing a beauty photoshoot. Let's talk about them. First, you need to know why you're taking the photos and how they will be used afterwards. It can be a test shoot when you work with a team to practice or create content for your social media. It can be an editorial for publication or an actual job for a beauty brand to create images for their advertising. Each one of them requires a different mindset and how you go about creating the images. If you're doing a test shoot, you obviously have the most creative freedom. You can work around a concept or a mood board, but you can also allow yourself to experiment and try different setups. Same for your team. There is a creative freedom and permission to learn and be spontaneous in your creative decisions during this kind of shoot. It is important to keep testing even if you're an established photographer. Not only you get to refresh your portfolio, learn new tricks, but you are also establishing relationships with your models and makeup artists. Most of my clients actually book me based on my test shoots, not commercial work. If you're shooting an editorial or beauty story for publication, then there is still a fair amount of creativity involved, but there is also a certain expectation for consistency and technical skill. Most of the magazines only accept sets of images with at least 3 looks and 6 photos. I usually choose 10 images, making sure they create an interesting material as a set, not just as individual images. High quality, professional retouching and consistency in lighting is essential. Creative use of makeup and a theme are also important. If you're shooting for a client, it is important to prepare and plan ahead to be able to deliver quality results based on the brief. I always have a mood board for a commercial shoot. Sometimes the client sends me theirs, and based on that we choose the model and the rest of the team. There are also other creative decisions that you need to make, like lighting setup, background, choice of clothes, jewelry, and the budget. Make sure you have a solid plan before the shoot and you know the number of looks and final images you're expected to deliver. Have a contract or an agreement that covers things like deposit, turnaround, and licensing. When you're shooting for a client, the key is to be able to produce high quality, consistent images throughout the campaign. 90% of the results is your experience and technical knowledge, and 10% is creativity. The outcome of your project is as good as the weakest member of your team. In other words, make conscious decisions who you hire or collaborate with. If they're good, they'll make your job easier and add a value to your project. On the other side, if they're late or difficult to work with, well, we all know that this kind of stress during the shoot does not really contribute to amazing results. Test shoots allow me to work with new people, models, makeup artists, or other creatives and see how they perform and if there is a good energy on the set with them. If we work well during the test shoot, there is a high chance I will invite them next time I'm shooting for a client. I choose my models based on their skin condition. In beauty photography, the close-ups often showcase the level of skin we don't see with a bare eye. That's why I choose models with well-maintained and hydrated skin. Too many imperfections, dry skin, or chapped lids can be a real nightmare when retouching. There are models that specialize in shooting for beauty because of their features, skin in particular. They are often required to do microblading, which basically means they remove their peach fuzz and facial hair in order to have smooth skin that looks great in the camera. I usually ask my models to drink plenty of water the day before the shoot and avoid fake tan, as it creates leaks around fingers and hands that are often visible on the photos. I also suggest a natural manicure and a good night's sleep. I hire makeup artists based on the three elements of their work: their technical skill, which translates into how they produce skin that looks fresh and natural, their attention to details and precision, it's because I shoot so close that all the imperfections are magnified, and lastly, their creativity and makeup style. Makeup for photography is different than bridal or event makeup. It is so much more precise and requires lighter, but still even coverage, so not every makeup artist will have that skill. I work with a few makeup artists and can choose the right one to work with depending on the project. Other members of the team are hairstylists, wardrobe stylists, nail stylists, jewelry designers, but really all you need to start is a model and a makeup artist. Besides your camera, you need a specific type of lens for beauty photography. Most of my beauty work is taken with 105mm macro, but photographers use a variety of lens, from 50mm to 180mm. The rule is that the face proportions are not distorted, and you can work with a lot of detail to show the makeup and skin texture. You need to shoot in a studio or create a studio setting. Thankfully, you don't need that much space, literally just a plain wall behind the model or some space around to position the lights. I have seen some photographers utilizing natural light, but it's rare. Beauty photography requires high quality finish with a lot of definition and skin texture, which is usually achieved by proper lighting setup. A typical modifier for a main light is a beauty dish or octa, but really anything that will allow you to get even, not too harsh light, usually positioned directly in the front of the model or slightly off. I actually started with using a Godox 60cm square pop-up softbox as it had 2 layers of diffusion and gave me beautiful soft light. I will link it in the description down below. The lighting should be positioned in a way that is not creating harsh shadows, say under the chin, so it's usually just slightly higher than the model, allowing light to wrap and expose all parts of the face. Reflectant can be positioned horizontally under the model's chin to bounce back the light from the main light source. This lighting setup is commonly called Clamshell Lighting. You can shoot beauty with just one light and a reflector, but adding a second and a third light source as a rim lights will add depth and definition. You can also use it as a fill light and create even more exposure across the face and soften the shadows. When choosing my camera settings, I first set up the aperture high so I can get the detail and the definition. ISO is either 100 or 200, and I adjust the shutter speed accordingly to get a properly exposed photo. As an example, this photo was taken with aperture 12, 200 ISO, and 1/25 of a second shutter speed. Beauty photoshoots usually take a lot of time, so be prepared to spend a few hours or a full day depending on how many looks you're shooting. Makeup takes as much time as taking photos, so there is a lot of waiting around. Having tea, coffee, and snacks on the set for the team is a good idea. Shooting in a full frame allows me to crop and zoom and really have fun with which elements I want to keep and which to crop out, starting with a full portrait, half face, to lip or eye close-up. I also like the fact that I can play with angles, giving the impression that the model's face is tilted. Most of my beauty photographs are portrait orientated, as it's more convenient for publication and looks better on Instagram, but sometimes landscape works too. The focus in retouching beauty photographs should be on producing flawless but natural looking effects. Depending on the budget, I hire retouchers that finalize the images for me, or I retouch them myself. I use a combination of a patch tool, stamp tool, and healing brush to remove distractions, and then I use dodge and burn when working on a skin texture. I also use liquify tool. You can check my previous YouTube video on how I retouch skin. We live in a world that is saturated with unrealistic beauty standards. That's why, in my work, I strive to enhance the natural beauty of my model, not alter it to the extent that she's not looking like a human anymore. I want to show beauty and creative makeup, not a plastic doll. And finally, my 3 tips for beauty photoshoots that will help you to get better results. Use a tripod and make sure model sits still. It will give you so much more control when composing your images in a camera. Use tethering or connect your camera to tablet to be able to see the photos with all the details on a bigger screen as you shoot them. Pay extra attention to stray hair on model's face, especially around the eyes, as they can be very time consuming to remove in post-production. So that's it, my beauty photography from start to finish. I hope I inspired you to try it yourself. Let me know in the comments if you find it useful and if you have any questions. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video and find me on Instagram. See you guys in the next one.